couple of years ago, I really got into deck building games. I didn't really think I was a deck builder kind of person until suddenly I really was. I find these games very satisfying. There's something about experimenting and learning and solving the puzzle of what a good build looks like and what a winning run looks like. That's just wonderful. I think a good deck builder gives you a really good mental workout, and my favourites have enough variety from run to run to feel fresh and different all of the time. So in this video I'm going to run through 5 of my very favourite deck builders that are really worth picking up, whether you're new to the genre or a grizzled expert. Hopefully there's something here for you. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about your favourite deck builders, and you can always sub to the channel for more like this, and I will tell you about the channel's Patreon at the end. So I think that the only place to start really is with the newest kid on the block. The million-selling Balatro is the current flavour of the month in deck builders. It's a poker-based deck-building roguelike that's taken the world by storm, and I think it's a very clever move to base it on an existing card game and one of the most popular in the world. It offers a way straight into the game for anyone who knows a flush from a straight without having to learn the ropes too much. But with over 150 jokers that modify your deck and do all kinds of crazy things. It's a really crazy version of poker. It's Joker poker. Every run feels different and it keeps things feeling fresh. I have over 80 hours in this game so far because it's the perfect handheld chill-out game. You can play it while you're listening to podcasts or watching shows, and even at that mammoth playtime I'm still unlocking new decks and jokers. It's a very content-rich game in a way that keeps you playing, and it has a huge diversity of builds to figure out. I think that Balatro is an instant classic in the genre, and it's a great place to start if you're curious about deck builders. Like all of the games I'm going to talk about today, it's available on Switch, so you can play it on the sofa or on the move, and it's on Steam and all the other consoles as well. That's Balatro. The next game I have for you is actually the one that got me into deck builders in the first place. It's the 2017 indie classic Slay the Spire, and I think that's the same for a lot of people. This game really blew up the genre. It's a fantasy combat card game where you play your cards and balance your defensive and offensive stats in each play. You play shield cards to block enemy damage and then sword or spell cards that will hit your enemies. And you can always see what your enemies are going to do next, so you can plan your moves accordingly, and it becomes like a dance really. You move around a simple map between levels and you build out your character on each run, picking up all kinds of modifiers, relics and boons, like adding stacking status effects to your attacks. And you really have to master them to work your way through all the different biomes and bosses that you'll encounter along the way. There are extra unlockable characters that you can get that will add some longevity to the game with completely different playstyles. And while it is quite a deep game, a very system-heavy game, I think it's actually a really good intro to the genre, much like Balatro. It's available on everything. I play it on iOS because I like to have it on my phone. It's a great game to have in your pocket to play anywhere you like. Whether it's a cheeky run on your lunch break or to fill in the time on a flight. It's a compulsive game, it's an addictive game, it's just brilliant. I couldn't recommend Slay the Spire more. And another spin on the combat-based roguelike deck builder is Monster Train. In this game you command the armies of hell as you're rattling through the frozen underworld on a Snowpiercer-like train. You choose from routes on the map to bank perks and power-ups and get money for items, and then engage in short, fun, tactical battles. But the difference in Monster Train is that there's some verticality to it. Your train has 4 floors with your all-important pyre burning on the very top one. Enemies flood in from the bottom of the train and they move up the floors turn by turn, and your job is to defend the train by placing units to get rid of those waves of attackers. So there's an interesting tower defense element to the gameplay here too. I really like the graphics in this one and how swiftly each run rattles along. It really does get its hooks into you. One tip if you try this one, don't forget to turn on the optional challenges on the early levels because it will give you money to upgrade your units and stand you in good stead when that final boss comes around. This is another one that I play on iOS. I love to have card games on my phone, but it's available on Switch, Steam and all the consoles, so head to your platform of choice and get on board the Monster Train. And if you want to try out deck builders because you're not sure if it's your thing, you don't want to spend money on them, I can recommend Marvel's Snap. This is a free phone game that you can download from the App Store. And I was suspicious about this one at first. It's a licensed game and it does feature monetization heavily, but if you're wondering if deck builders are your thing, it's a great place to start and you can get a lot of fun out of it without spending any money at all. It's a 1v1 card battler where you're matched against a random player. The cards are all based on Marvel superheroes, so they all have very special abilities, and you have to get to know the deck and learn where to place them strategically. Each battle lasts just a couple of minutes, and on each turn a new location is unveiled with a modifier that can change everything. And the stakes raise on every turn as your points allowance grows, so you start off placing your weakest cards like Nightcrawler or Squirrel Girl, and by the end you're playing Iron Man or Odin. And you can snap if you think you're going to win for an all or nothing stake raise. It's a surprisingly deep game actually, and as you play you unlock all kinds of new cards on a regular basis, so you're always changing up your deck. I really like that about it. But it's really addictive and it can feel like empty calories a little bit as a mobile game. But there's a lot of enjoyment to be had here, and it's very convenient that you just have it in your pocket on your phone anytime you want to play. I actually think there's a surprisingly deep, complex and interesting deck builder here in a way that I wasn't quite expecting from Marvel Snap, so especially if you're into superheroes, Marvel Snap is a great place to start. But from a very, very commercial game to a very, very indie game, I want to finish with a weird one. Inscryption is a fantastic deck builder by solo dev auteur Daniel Mullins. It mixes tense card battles with escape room mechanics and a complex meta-narrative packed with twists and turns that literally made my jaw drop. So this is a very different kind of card game, but there's a lot of meat on the bones here, and even with all the extra stuff that's going on, the card game alone would be worth the price of entry. In this game you play against an unknown antagonist who stares at you from across the table with dark, beady eyes. You have a deck of animal cards and you have to play the lowest ranked cards first. So you'll usually start by putting down a couple of squirrels, which you then have to sacrifice to get your most powerful cards onto the table. Enemy cards advance across the board towards you, so you can see what's coming, you get to plan ahead, and the last man standing wins the round. And between rounds of cards, you're free to stand up and poke around the dark little cabin that you seem to be trapped in. And a lot of weird stuff goes down in this game, from finding talking animal cards hidden around the cabin, to your strange antagonist wearing masks and acting like a crazy dungeon master. So there's a lot to this game. There's a story, there is a puzzle, you have to find the most broken builds to get past some crazy bosses. And where it ends up is just unbelievable. I still think about the ending sometimes. In fact, this was my game of the year in 2022, and I can't give it much higher praise than that. Just trust me on this one, whether you like deck builders or not, grab your pelts and head into the dark of Inscryption. So those are 5 deck builders that I really enjoyed. There are so many more that I want to talk about. I wanted to talk about Griftlands, Wild Frost, Signs of the Sojourner, Iris and the Giant. There are so many. These were the most popular and obvious ones, but there's a whole scene of indie games lying beneath the surface too. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to hear more about deck builders, then drop a comment and let me know. Likes and subscribes are appreciated. This is a small channel, so all of that interaction stuff really helps it to rise through the algorithm. And there's also a Patreon at patreon.com/gaminginthewild. From just $1 a month you can join to help support this channel, and you'll get an invite to our patron-only Discord community and loads of bonus content too. You'll also get a thank you on the show, and a big thank you to Fergus, Doink, Mike, Stu and Kira. Thank you very much to all of those people for joining the Patreon. Those notifications really do make my day every time. But that's enough about Patreon. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you on the next one.